Hey, it's me again. How are you? I'm Ivan Miranda, and well, let's get into it. I've lived in the city that has everything my whole life. I'm talking about CELEX. I'm from the northwest of the city. The daughter my parents had before they had me is the one to blame for my interest in learning to play guitar as a child. A couple of years later, my dad bought me my first electric guitar, inspired by the shape of the Les Paul model played by the Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash. From there, I simply found my vocation, and I'm currently finishing my music course at the Instituto Nacional de Bellas Artes, where I started playing classical guitar. I also work in a noodle factory. I make the noodles from scratch with a heavy machine, then some of the orders I cut into different sizes and make of different flavors are delivered to customers by me on my bike. A girl I met in my first year at IMBA introduced me to one of the factory's owners, and that's how I started working there. And talking about free time, every time I can, I go to the Cinépolis that gives a student discount in Plaza Tlatelolco, with the cutest girl I ever met, my girlfriend obviously. I also like to play chess. Recently my girlfriend gave me a chess set she found at her dad's. Once a week I go to the place near my house where there are many recreational activities and people get together to play and give chess lessons. I'm talking about Pilates. And now I'll tell you about two canon events from my past. First one was in 3rd grade of secundaria. I was 15 years old when I made my first attempt to get into the IMBA. I passed the test, but I hadn't gotten into the world of classical guitar yet. I mostly played popular songs back then. So I had an interview with one of the guitar teachers, and he disesteemed me due to my poor knowledge of the academic ways of music. He was very rude and didn't even write my name on his list. I never understood that attitude. I wasn't even applying for a superior level at the time. At the end, I believe the whole point of going to school is, well, going to learn, isn't it? So I think that if I'd had the interview with a less embittered teacher, I could have got into the IMBA since then. I would have ended my course a long time ago, and I could have entered one of their degrees, because they ask for 3 years of previous study and basically being 19 or less. Second one was also an attempt to get into a school, the Facultad de Música of the UNAM. By then I was 19 and had already managed to get into the IMBA. Again, I passed the test, except for the last one. In this one, I had to interpret 2 high-level musical pieces, and they were beyond my skill, but I didn't know it at the time. There was a terrible guitar teacher assigned to my IMBA course who never bothered to teach me the correct technique to play, or take care that I wasn't playing musical pieces out of my league. He just allowed me to play whatever I want. So I ended up severely hurting my hands when I studied the pieces UNAM required. This stopped my musical studies for the next 3 years, and my lesions remained till now. They became chronic. If I'd had a well-qualified teacher, my hands will be fine right now. I'd have my guitar techniques well developed already, and I would have waited another year or 2 to try to get into UNAM with the proper level instead. Luckily, nowadays, I got the opportunity to complete my course that was left halfway, this time with an excellent teacher who doesn't bother to go back to basics of technique every time I need to. Sometimes I feel like I'm abusing his patience due to my slow progress. If I had my hands fully recovered, I could advance very quickly instead. I'm doing my best anyway. I know someday this effort will be rewarded. Now, I'll tell you about some plans for my future. In a few years I expect I'm going to move out with my girlfriend to Jalapa, Enriquez. I'm going to get a bachelor's degree in music education at the Facultad de Música of the Universidad Veracruzana. I'm going to get a job in one or more institutions, and I know money is necessary indeed, but my main goal is to provide young musicians with all the necessary tools to boost their careers and therefore their dreams as professional musicians, so they don't have obstacles such as lack of knowledge or injuries. Also, I will go to the United States at some point. That's one of the reasons why I want to master English. I would love to do diplomas, music education there, and more. Another reason is to get higher salary jobs, such as call centers, interpreter, programming, anything where I can earn money for speaking English, I'll take it. And last but not least, I'll talk about the book Spotlight on the USA. The book tells us about the American society of the 90s and its history. The first chapter begins with the origins of the country and its population, which is made up of people from all over the world, starting with the native Indians and the British. Also tell us about their customs, traditions, lifestyles, politics, economics, educational systems, their religions and holidays in general as a country, using a lot of their vocabulary. The following chapters talks about a specific area of the country. They begin with historical events and stories from the colonial era, then move forward in history to the 90s, which was the present day for the author of the book, passing through architecture, geographics, the most acclaimed places, the cultures that settled in that part of the country, the arts and sciences that were developed there, schools and universities, and the way of being of the locals. The chapter I liked the most was the one that talks about New England, because the historical events that lead the independence of the 13 colonies to happen occurred there. While I was reading them, I remember I already knew him thanks to the Assassin's Creed 3 video game. Of course, we don't learn about him in school here. There is a special mission that leads you through the Freedom Trial. First, you have to throw snowballs filled with drugs to the Red Jackets, the British Army. Then you break into the Boston harbor and throw all the thick-rays out of their ships to the sea. Next, you have to light up the lanterns so Paul Revere can see him on his way to Lexington. And finally, you have to defeat Bunker Hill from the British. It was one of my favorite games as a kid, and I had no idea that this mission was based on true historical events until now. They even have their own tour in Boston. And that was it for my final Integrator project. I hope you like it. Thank you so much, teacher, for the course. I know I didn't participate too much. I'm kinda shy, I'm sorry. But I promise I will change it in the next trimester. Guess, I don't know, farewell and bye. See ya.